Sci-fi thrillers are something that's really jumping up a lot lately, but there's one that we've known about for a little bit now that I'm really excited about, and that's called The Invincible. Coming to the PS5, the Xbox Series consoles, and PC in 2023, The Invincible is coming from a new developer founded in 2018 from Polish members of the CD Projekt Red and Techland teams to create Starward Industries. And that's going to be published by 8-Bit Studios, the developers of Frostpunk and This War of Mine. The game itself is a single-player, first-person sci-fi thriller with a retro-futuristic style that I love, specifically the atom punk, which refers to the view of the future from the 1950s. Much like the Fallout franchise, or I think the Jetsons is another example of that. And of course, it should be noted that this is based off of a book from the same name from Stanisław Lem. And in the game, you're going to discover the planet Regis 3 as scientist Yasna. Use atompunk tools looking for a missing crew and face unforeseen threats. Make choices in a philosophical story that's driven by science. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, but I think that is the main gist of the gameplay, but we'll hop into the story elements just a little bit further in just a moment. For instance, the store page mentions a lot of interesting things, such as the space race that led you to the planet, and that explains the hostility that occurs in one of the trailers. But also that it's pretty clear that we're separated from our crew early on, and therefore safety isn't an option as well, and that's our motivator to explore the planet even further, and that's the gist of the gameplay that I really like. Looking around, exploring things, but it's not like a shooter or anything like that. You can take your time, explore the beauty of it, and just like Firewatch, I think there is going to be some investigative nature to it, and I really do love that. Now, as previously mentioned, we have those old school tools, and those are things like the tracker, the telemeter, as well as the probe, and even a vehicle to drive around. But most interestingly, our biggest resource is actually our astrogator, and his name is Novik. And you'll see now why I started, threading the narrative that this is like Firewatch, one of my favorite games of all time, because Novik reminds me a lot of Delilah, someone we talk to almost entirely on the radio, and as we discover fragments of what's been lost, and we report back to Novik, his voice will be the one that we rely on in hard times or tough situations. And might I add that this is the point in the trailer when I really came to appreciate the voice acting. It was crisp and clear, but more specifically not clear when it needed to be, going off of the, style of equipment we're using. Very old school here. But most importantly, it was just pleasing to hear. These are voices I would like to hear throughout the course of however long the story may be. But now that we've got that out of the way, I'd like to talk about the gameplay. From as far as I can tell, the game is very heavy into the walking simulator elements, mixed with some puzzles as well as potentially open-ended environments. But this is a pretty deep cut, but it's reminding me of a much more visually distinct version of Kona. A game that I haven't covered on the channel at all, reviewed or anything like that, but I did play it. It's kind of a puzzle area type game, like I'm describing here. But interestingly enough, Kona did just get a sequel announced, and I may be covering that game on the channel. The one thing I will say about The Invincible compared to that game is that we get to see a lot of effort in the visuals, both aesthetically with the color and design, but also I'm really super impressed with the animations of this game, from both the first person and the other characters here. We get to see the hands moving in really cool ways, just like the Doom 2016 was like porn for that shit. But really the characters move realistically from what we've seen, and the robots exactly how you'd think, like robots. But again, the first-person traversal and the interaction animations are what really seal the deal for me personally. Another aspect of the game that I mentioned that they keep teasing is that there will be decisions in the game with real consequences, and I'm really curious to see how these will play out, but I could easily see it being related to the outcomes of the other cast of characters that we're looking to find. But one thing that is confirmed is that there will be branching paths in the story and multiple endings, so take that as you will, and however you can think that this would fit. And you can check out the website for a little bit more lore details. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit extra background. It's super interactive on desktop, and there's supposed to be something that kind of charts the journey across the constellation, but it didn't really work for me when I was trying this. So maybe, hey, that gets fixed. But really, that's all we know without reading the novel ourselves. To me, the promise of robots, conflict, and mystery in a beautiful and grounded world seems really awesome. And throw in some of the similarities to my favorite games and you've got me on board. But really the space race stuff with the idea of going to this planet, coming across I know it's not the same thing, but the Americans versus the Russians there, that would be really cool to me. And then maybe there's some deeper threat. And that's exactly what's hinted at in this game, is that you're going to find things that make you rethink the human race's dominion. So whether that be constructed AI life on this planet that seems lifeless, life that's more intelligent than us or equal to intelligence, I don't know. I know nothing about this, but this is hard sci-fi, and I'm really curious to see where it's going to go. If you're curious to see a review for this game or any new details that come out, go ahead and subscribe. This is one of many smaller indie video showcases that I'm going to be doing, and I hope you like it. This is going to range from horror to survival games to thriller games like this, but pretty much summing up all the information you need to know about them in one place with updates to come afterwards. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Falling Hurts, and yeah, go ahead and subscribe or share this video. Yeah, bye.